We also call on the President to immediately interdict Mr. Sammy Gyemfi as an acting Chief Executive Officer of Ghana Gold Board. Or at least, he should interdict him pending the conduct of the investigation by the criminal investigative authorities of the state. We cannot but remember when huge sums of money, and this is the principle here, please let's pay attention. We cannot but remember that when huge sums of money was reported to have been stolen from the residence of Madam Cecilia Dapa, a woman who had worked in high places for over 40 years before the incident, had been NP since 2001, as well as a deputy minister and also a minister. And she is married to a well-known rich architect and a consultant, well-known, with nearly 60 years experience in the profession. She was made to resign. This principle is cardinal. Under Nana Addo, a similar issue happened. Madame Cecilia Dapa was made to resign immediately by the President. Investigations were duly conducted by the OSP against Madame Cecilia Dapa and her husband. After what the OSP described as 7 months of extensive investigation and 4 months of collaborative investigation, it concluded that their investigation did not establish any evidence of corruption-related offenses, or procurement. Very much. My brother, let me also acknowledge the presence of the Deputy General Secretary, and also one of our brilliant young lawyers who is doing so well for us, the Secretary as well, and all national officers. Receipt or payment of foreign currency, which Sammy Gyemfi is seen to have been doing in the video. The law, in its letter and spirit, prohibits stacking of dollars as it maintains the Ghana cedi as the sole legal tender. The cedi is the sole legal tender. We don't have multiple legal tenders in Ghana. You would recall that the Bank of Ghana has over the years issued several notices cautioning that without an authorization from the Bank of Ghana, no person is permitted to advertise, price, pocket, receive, gift, make payment of goods and services in foreign exchange, including United States dollars. And this action by the Bank of Ghana is important because it helps in stabilizing our cedi. The penalty for such violation includes a fine or imprisonment up to 18 months. Exactly a week ago, President Mahama unveiled a code of conduct for his appointees, and the President is reported to have said that the code of conduct articulates the core values his administration expects from appointees. Please pay attention. The core values his administration expects from his appointees: integrity, honesty, impartiality, respect, decency, incorrigibility, competence, and professionalism. The President further stressed that all conduct must meet standards capable of withstanding closest public scrutiny. Section 1(2) of the code. Mr. Sammy Gyemfi is required to manage his personal affairs in a manner that withstands the closest public scrutiny. And under Section 1(3), he was to take responsible care to maintain the integrity and reputation of the office he holds. Unsurprisingly, Mr. Sammy Gyemfi, like an incorrigible child, has blatantly violated both obligations under the code, and the President must, in accordance with Section 6 of his pledge, at page 9 of the code deals swiftly and decisively with Mr. Sammy Gyemfi. It's important. The president launched this code. As I mentioned earlier, it was well publicized. It received a lot of commendation from so many people. Now, a week or just less than a week, this happens where his own appointee is seen displaying opulence. We find ourselves in a very distressed situation. And yet, if you have your appointee who is doling out dollars, that is serious. And we call on the president. If the president is unable to act on this matter, then the code of conduct must be shredded. It's of no use. It's useless. If the president is unable to act on this matter, ladies and gentlemen, the irony of the present circumstance is that not only was Mr. Sammy Gyemfi a loud critic of Honorable Cecilia Dapa for some months ago, but he was equally very critical of her ladyship, Justice Tokuno, few weeks ago because the judicial service paid for tickets in dollars, although this was the required currency transaction in such matters and also well situated within the travel policy of the judicial service. We say without fear of contradiction that in the absence of Mr. Sammy Gyemfi providing direct evidence of the source of funding, thousands of United States dollars found in his car, seen in the video widely circulated on social media, these funds are proceeds of unlawful or criminal enterprise by Mr. Sammy Gyemfi. Section 1 of the Anti-Money Laundering Act 1044, makes the possession, concealment, conversion, disguise, or transfer that is or forms part of an unlawful activity an offense punishable by a term of imprisonment or up to 10 years. Do not forget that this is the same section, the same provision Mr. Sammy Gyemfi, the same provision he used in criticizing Madame Cecilia Dapa. And he says that it was clear. This is the same provision. We call on the lawful establishment investigative agencies of state, the Office of the Special Prosecutor and the Criminal Investigation Department, CID of Ghana Police, to investigate the activities of Mr. Sammy Gyemfi in his short tenure as acting chief executive officer. And again, you have been told that all appointees, including ministers, they have not even received their salary since they had their appointment. All of them. That is the information we have. To investigate the activities of Mr. Sammy Gyemfi in a short tenure as acting chief executive officer of both PMMNC and the Ghana Gold Board. These bodies must search all his houses, probe any properties acquired in his stay so far in government, and if possible, prosecute him for failure to show the source of huge sums of money found in his possession, out of which he gleefully sprayed some around. And we all saw the video. We all saw the video and how he counted the dollars as if it was a counting machine. Very, very fast. And afterwards, and you saw where he even picked the money from. You see that, yes, you have a lot of it stacked in there. And then how he gleefully was counting the money to Madame Agrada, and then Madame Agrada also, out of insufficient spirit, grabbed all. Obviously, she saw that there were a lot of dollars stuck in there. So that is how come she could again grab all the dollars. And this is a serious matter. We note that section 55(2) of Act 1044 stipulates that in a trial for an offense under the Act, an accused person, in this case, Mr. Sammy Gyemfi, may be presumed to have unlawfully acquired a property if the accused person is in possession of a property which the accused person cannot account for, and which is disproportionate to a known source of income of the accused person. Note that he has not taken any salary since his appointment. So clearly, the money he doled out obviously is disproportionate to his income. We also call on the President to immediately interdict Mr. Sammy Gyemfi as an acting Chief Executive Officer of Ghana Gold Board. Or at least, he should interdict him pending the conduct of the investigation by the criminal investigative authorities of the state. We cannot but remember when huge sums of money, and this is the principle here, please let's pay attention. We cannot but remember that when huge sums of money was reported to have been stolen from the residence of Madam Cecilia Dapa, a woman who had worked in high places for over 40 years before the incident, had been NP since 2001, as well as a deputy minister and also a minister. And she is married to a well-known rich architect and a consultant, well-known, with nearly 60 years experience in the profession. She was made to resign. This principle is cardinal. Under Nana Addo, a similar issue happened. Madam Cecilia Dapa was made to resign immediately by the President. Investigations were duly conducted by the OSP against Madam Cecilia Dapa and her husband. After what the OSP described as 7 months of extensive investigation and 4 months of collaborative investigation, it concluded that their investigation did not establish any evidence of corruption-related offenses, or procurement breaches against the suspect. We require the same standard to be applied here. Same standard to be applied here. And let me also say that Mr. Sammy Gyemfi again is on record on several TV programs during the Madam Cecilia Dapa saga, and I quote him: "Once money is found in your custody and you cannot account for the money, and that money is disproportionate to your income, you shall be deemed to have committed the offense of money laundering." Madam Cecilia Dapa resigned during the whole brouhaha, as I said, and again we will have the same principle to be applied. Again, on the matter of Her Ladyship Chief Justice Tokuno, in an interview with Asempa FM, he stated that the Chief Justice should be sacked for using state funds in dollars in her medium of exchange instead of the Ghana cedis, which is exactly the same act he engaged in last Saturday. Per his own assertions, then it means he must be sacked. That is exactly what he said. And these are principles. And this is his own sword. And he must. He must be on his own sword. Even more ironical is the fact that Mr. Sammy Gyemfi presently heads the Gold Board. This is very important matter, and this is issue of governance. which is being touted by this government as being the backbone for the stabilization of the city through the maintenance of sufficient gold reserves. Do not forget that the establishment of the gold board, one of the arguments for the, if Mr. Gyemfi, the CEO who is responsible for maintaining sufficient reserves to support, to help, and to prevent the depreciation of the city, to stabilize the city, possesses dollars in his daily routine. And we say daily routine because when you go for a funeral 1 week and you have dollars packed in your car, then the indications are that that is your modus operandi in terms of spending. That is how you spend. That is the money you use. Because if you are just going for 1 week and you have tens of thousands of dollars in your car. Mr. Sammy Gyemfi, again, then clearly he has no confidence in our city. And if you are superintendent over an institution which, as part of its mandate, is to help stabilize the city, that is the only legal tender, and I've already mentioned that. And if you have the head who superintends over this institution doling out dollars instead of the city, then it means that the person or the CEO, acting CEO, lacks confidence in the Ghanaian city. And that is key. And that is the more reason why we are of the view, the New Patriotic Party, and I speak for the party, we are of the view that if he is unable to stand firm, if he is unable to defend the city, if he is unable to protect the city, and he would rather be displaying dollars, then it means he cannot superintend over the same institution seeking to stabilize the city with gold reserves. But let me also state on record that under the gold purchasing program of the New Patriotic Party, our gold reserves as a country, which stood at 8.7 tons, where they also mentioned the allowances, the salaries of Mr. Sammy Gyemfi, referencing the minority press conference yesterday. The state cannot be paying Mr. Gyemfi hefty salaries and allowances for him to be undermining the very currency which is at the heart of his mandate. The state provides the following for Mr. Gyemfi: a gross basic salary annually 1.5 million, subject to an annual review and upward adjustment of 15%. 1.5 million a year. Hold on, that is not the only amount. Hold on. Let's go step by step. Clothing allowance of 15% of annual salary, payable once per annum by year end. So the 15 million I just mentioned, he is entitled to clothing allowance of 15% of his annual salary. So he's entitled to 15% of 1.5 million, which is supposed to be his clothing allowance. Hold on, travel with me, hold on. Provision of 2 security officers, or 6,000 each officer as an equivalent. 1 gardener, or 4,000 Ghana cedis as a cash equivalent. Full medical cover for him, his spouse, and up to 5 children. Provision of 2 cars with full medical maintenance, and insurance. Fuel allocation of 1,005 liters of fuel monthly. Fuel allocation, do your own mathematics, 1,005 liters of fuel monthly for each official vehicle. The official vehicle may be sold to Mr. Gyemfi upon contract expiration or termination per the company's asset disposal policy. 30 working days of paid vacation annually. 30 working days of paid vacation annually. Exclusive of public holidays. So anywhere in the world, if you decide to go to Bahamas, if you decide to go to wherever, if you decide to go there, the state is responsible to pay fully all the expenses for this vacation. Airfare up to 10,000 US dollars upon proof of per diem of USD $2,000 a day. So if he travels for 30 days, it means he's going to receive $2,000 a day for 7 days, payable in advance for annual familiarization tour. Business class travel ticket for official duties and $2,000 trust for Mr. Sammy Gyemfi to receive all these benefits on the back of helping maintaining a steady currency, yet fail to have any iota of confidence in the Ghana city to the extent of using United States dollars as his currency of daily use. Ladies and gentlemen, it may have escaped many observers of this unfortunate incident, but not only, and this is an important aspect, not only was Mr. Sammy Gyemfi giving out United States dollars without restraint, but Mr. Gyemfi also engaged in patent opulence on ostentation of just after 120 days in government. On the day in question, Mr. Gyemfi was being driven in a 2025 school spec Range Rover autobiography valued at $350,000. Yeah. Fresh Range Rover autobiography. Fresh. Tear rubber, fully spec autobiography, Range Rover, 2025 model, $350,000. The question that should engage the minds of well-meaning Ghanaians and how Mr. Sammy Gyemfi can afford all these things under 120 days is being in government, and if they are gifts, who are these persons gifting him, and what relationship do they have to his work as CEO? If within 120 days in office, appointees of Mr. Mahama have become culpable of such opulence and ostentation, then the years ahead will be indeed a telling story. Already, there is a loud cloud of corruption hanging around President Mahama's appointee. Following the indictment of Dr. Ayede, his Attorney General, as involved in corrupt activities, Article 88 of the Constitution is very clear. And I'll come back again to Sammy. But just about some few weeks ago, the Attorney General was accused of being a thief and being a corrupt person. In his defense, he said that A+ is saying so because he went for some monies from a certain businessman. When the Attorney General attempted to respond, he says that A+ should not go there, and if A+ wants us to play in the mud, in the dirt, he is prepared. He can dirty himself. He can play in the mud, because where he comes from, they have been playing in the mud. So as for mud, he's not afraid of mud. Who says we want our Attorney General to be playing in the mud? Who said, and you see, That is why I brought this constitution. In fact, the only minister with an elaborate mandate captured in the constitution is the Attorney General. Article 88 is clear. And indulge me. There shall be an Attorney General of Ghana who shall be the Minister of State and the principal legal advisor to the government. The Attorney General shall discharge such other duties of legal nature as may be referred to or assigned to him by the President or imposed on him by this Constitution or any other law. 3. The Attorney General shall be responsible for all the initiation and conduct, of all prosecutions of criminal offenses. All offenses prosecuted in the name of the Republic of Ghana shall be at the suit of the Attorney General or any other person authorized by him in accordance with any law. 5. The Attorney General shall be responsible for institution and conduct of all civil cases on behalf of the state.
Today we were ready by 10 o'clock. Most of you came late. So the delay is not coming from my end. We welcome you to the headquarters of the New Patriotic Party. And our indefatigable national organizer, as usual, will be presenting to us this morning. So without much ado, I humbly invite lawyer Nana B, NPP Nana B, the hardworking national organizer of the Patriotic Party, to engage us this morning. Thank you.